Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you joining me today. We are tackling a topic that literally touches every single one of us, our families, and specifically, why family unity needs prayer. In today's Explainer, we're going to enthusiastically unpack a truly profound reality. We're going to look at exactly why human effort alone, no matter how hard we try, how much we schedule, or how deeply we care, just isn't enough to protect our families. But more importantly, we're going to see how we can transform our everyday, kind of chaotic homes into true spiritual sanctuaries. All right, let's just dive right in by validating a very real feeling that I'm sure is super familiar to a lot of you watching. Parents and spouses today are flat out exhausted. We try so hard to manufacture peace, right? We try to control the schedules, the finances, the screen time, the conflicts, and yet despite our absolute best efforts to manage the whole shebang, family peace often just slips right through our fingers. The friction remains. So why does human effort fail so often when the love is genuinely there?
Well, there's this incredibly powerful metaphor from Abrazo Divino that hits the nail on the head. We so often try to protect our loved ones with a tight, anxious, clenched fist. We think that if we just grip the situation hard enough, we can keep our family safe. But actually, true, lasting peace requires exactly the opposite. It requires opening our exhausted hands to God, surrendering that illusion of control, and letting Him hold what we could simply never manage on our own.
Which brings us to Section 1, the home as a domestic church.
Now, you might be wondering, what exactly does that mean? Well, the crucial point here is that family unity isn't just about practicing good communication strategies or conflict resolution. The theological concept of the domestic church tells us that your family is actually a miniature ecclesial sanctuary. It's about establishing a spiritual pact over your physical address, echoing that ancient, powerful vow of Joshua, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." It literally elevates your living room into sacred ground.
And when you compare the two approaches, the contrast is night and day. On one hand, relying solely on human strength just leads to chronic stress, burnout, and a very fleeting, fragile kind of peace. But on the other side, a home that is covered by a covenant of prayer builds ultimate resilience. It invites divine sovereignty right into the messy middle of our daily lives, meaning the massive burden of unity doesn't rest solely on our tired shoulders anymore.
Let's move on to Section 2, the fragility of unity.
Because let's be real, living in peace takes immense, intentional effort, even when we love each other deeply. We face very real human and spiritual threats that chip away at our family bonds every single day. We've got the mundane daily stress and exhaustion. We have resentments that build up when forgiveness is withheld. We have the constant digital noise and worldly distractions pulling us in different directions. And frankly, we face real spiritual battles and temptations that actively aim to divide households.
Because of all those threats, we need a defense. Section 3, prayer as a protective shield.
So, what does this shield look like? Well, our spiritual arsenal offers different prayers that serve completely different protective purposes. You have the deep, comforting preservation of Psalm 91, acting as a shield against daily traps and night terrors. You have the purifying armor of the precious blood of Christ, used in tradition to spiritually seal the minds of children and physical doors to break curses. And then you have the direct spiritual combat of St. Michael the Archangel, with his double-edged sword pushing back against the unseen forces of fear, sadness, and confusion. This specific imagery from Psalm 91 is just incredibly evocative. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. It reminds us that God's protection isn't cold or clinical. It is deeply paternal. He acts as a canopy of love. Imagine a bird sheltering its young with its feathers. That is a literal, living shield against our deepest, most crushing anxieties about our family's safety.
Now let's look at the ultimate model for this. Section 4, Saint Joseph, Guardian of Peace.
You know, St. Joseph didn't rely on massive wealth, social status, or loud, dramatic declarations to protect the Holy Family. His strength was found in his simple life, his daily effort, and his silent work. It was found in his profound ability to keep heavy worries in his heart while just continuing to move forward in a completely humble home. He really is the patron of the tired parent who just keeps putting one foot in front of the other. And that is exactly why there's this beautiful devotion called the Crown of Impossibilities. By praying this, families entrust their most severe, seemingly unsolvable hardships right into his paternal care. Whether it's a threat to marital fidelity, a child losing their way, the crushing weight of needing economic provision and dignified work, or a loved one trapped in vice, families hand these massive burdens over to him, knowing he specializes in handling what seems totally impossible to us.
So, how do we make all of this tangible? Section 5. Building a family altar.
Listen, setting up a physical focal point in your house isn't just nice interior decoration. Having these specific items, a central crucifix to focus on Christ's sacrifice, an open Bible to be nourished by the living word, beeswax candles, images of patron saints for intercession, and holy water for daily blessings, creates a tangible sanctuary right in your living room. In an era dominated by digital noise and glowing screens, this physical space actively draws the family's attention back to what truly matters.
And once you have that space, establishing a daily rhythm of prayer around that altar creates a timeline for the soul. You start the morning by consecrating the day and sealing your home. You take a brief pause at midday to remember God's presence. And crucially, you end the evening together with forgiveness, reconciling any of the day's friction before resting. It beautifully structures the chaos.
And finally, what happens when we do all of this? Section 6. The fruits of prayer.
This quote from Colossians really captures the goal perfectly. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. When a family commits to praying together, an amazing psychological shift happens. They are practically forced to confront their friction. I mean, you can't really hold on to bitter grudges while praying right next to someone. It cushions those harsh words and the pride that so easily destroy relationships.
The emotional fruits of this practice are just profound. That physical altar becomes a totally safe space for emotional release, where shedding tears of frustration or worry is seen as a healthy spiritual catharsis, not a weakness. It leads to the peaceful resolution of daily conflicts. And most importantly, surrendering our loved ones to God isn't giving up. It's a massive psychological relief that replaces our parental exhaustion with an unbreakable shield of peace, creating a lasting legacy of faith for our children.
To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a deeply personal question to think about before your head hits the pillow tonight. Think back to that clenched fist we talked about earlier. What specific worry, what specific family member, or what seemingly impossible situation will you finally entrust to God's open hands tonight? Thank you so much for exploring this vital topic with me, and I sincerely hope this brings a whole new level of peace and structure to your domestic church.